Brilliant.
Okay, guys, welcome to the Chase Pain podcast. I'm very excited to share a conversation today, a deep, meaningful and powerful conversation. On today's episode, we celebrate McCoy and are joined by two of his closest friends who'll be sharing the journey, the information and the story. And they are taking on what I would say an unthinkable challenge, 3 peaks, 10K, celebrating the journey of McCoy. Welcome, Dev and Rob. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Oh, very well.
Thanks
Thank you. Thank you for having us, mate.
No worries. Thanks for coming on, guys. And like I say, it's about creating exposure, sharing your journey, getting it to as many different people around the world as possible to share in this celebration. And I use that word celebration because I read the write-up on your page for the donation link, and I love that word celebration. I like how you guys are presenting it and how you want to celebrate this extraordinary man, McCoy. For those that don't know who he is or the background, Rob, could you just share a little bit of history and shed some light on this journey briefly?
So McCoy, I know McCoy through seminar staff. So he was on seminar staff since 2013, 2014. So he was an absolute pro in the red shirt, taught level 1s, level 2s all the way around the world, impacted many lives. And previous to that, Davs can talk more to this. Previous to that, he was in the military, so he was in the Navy, and had a very well-respected career in the Navy, being a rehabilitation PTI, I believe. Davs, do you want to speak to that, mate?
Yeah. So McCoy joined the Navy as a 16-year-old and specialized in the PT branch of the Navy. So he's a physical training instructor, and then further specialized within that industry as a rehabilitation instructor. And was basically, I think the goal. So the reason why he really did that was because he was such a dab hand at any sport he turned himself to. So he represented the Royal Navy in rugby and boxing and like all these different sports, like huge amounts of sport. And exceeded in his ability to as well.
What astounds me, and again, looking into who he is, I didn't know him personally, but I have done some research the last couple of days. People that I spoke to in the CrossFit world, everyone that's come across him have had a story about him, about how they've had an impact on them. A friend of mine's in New Zealand right now, and he delivered the level 2 to my friend Alex. And he shares a couple of stories with me about the impact that he had for that short time that he was with him. And it seems to be quite a regular thing that happens with this guy. Whoever he met, he had an impact on. Is that right?
100%. I think McCoy, you just describe him as a dude. He's just a good bloke, right? Like he would do anything for anyone. He would take the shirt off his back if you were cold. He would do the right thing when it needed to be done. And he just had this knack of being to relate to people and be on the same level as them and help them regardless of their background or experience, whatever it was. He just had this natural ability to impact others, for sure.
Sorry, mate. He was just a people person who just loved to interact with and meet new people, and was really passionate about learning everything he could about them. And through that end, obviously made huge connections with everybody. See, like meaningful connections, despite the fact he's only within this short space of time.
Yeah. And that word impact, that was used a lot on people that I spoke to, the impact that you had in such a short time. He might have been with them for 3 or 4 hours, but he always made that impact. Now we're obviously coming up, or we've just passed the 1 year anniversary. From your point of view, guys, and for the listeners, we're a year in now, and this event that you're doing, this celebration event, for you, what does it mean to you to be actually doing this weekend?
Shall I go first, Davs?
Yeah, mate. Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard. It's
Of course.
what does it mean? for me, and I don't want to speak on any of the other boys' behalves like Davs or Dave or anything. For me, it is just going out and doing something really hard to honor a friend who deserved the utmost. Like,
Yeah.
he went and did obviously Mount Batur when he was in Bali. He did something really hard, and he kind of lived by the fact of like doing something hard every day, challenging yourself, pushing yourself forwards. So in his honor and to help his boys, I just think it's right that we do something that people think is unachievable, and we make it happen in his name. And we just
Yeah.
push for
Love it.
McCoy. It's
Love it.
it's a mix of emotion. It's a little bit of nerves, a little bit of worry, anxiety attached to it. Looking at the weather
Yeah.
coming in Ben Nevis,
Yeah.
but it's a challenge at the end of the day. And I think Dave's, Dav, and myself will probably be tighter for it at the end of the weekend. And it's the right thing to do. It's the right do something hard to honor a bloody good mate.
I'm intrigued as to a conversation you might have shared with him when he completed his climb and his 10K at the top on the rower. Was there a conversation you shared together? How was it for him? What was his journey like when he did it himself?
Like, to be fair, like when McCoy did that, I think so. For the past couple of Christmases, I did the standards, the 24-hour row
Yeah.
as an individual, and he was like, he'd always text me after I'd done it, like, how was it, blah 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 blah, and it was the same kind of like mutual backwards and forwards. Like, I think everything thinks we or thought we were a little bit tapped because we like to push ourselves in that respect, but it was
Yeah.
like a mutual. It was no big deal. It was like, good job, mate. That's legit kind of thing.
Nice.
You know what I mean? It's like a tip of the cap, like a gentleman's nod.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair play to him.
When he completed that climb with the rower, did you know he was doing it before he did it? Did he say, I'm doing this? And did you say, oh, you're crazy? Like, is that a conversation he had before he did it?
Yeah, I think he spoke to you, Dabs, right?
Well, he kept it pretty stum, to be honest, but he did make some noise about it because he was obviously doing it for charity, but he didn't really say
Yeah.
much about it. And until really like the week before, that's when he actually posted about it. And then he said a bit of stuff post, but not a lot in the build up to it. No, I mean, he used to love to row anyway, so the 10K wasn't much of a drama for him. It was just carrying the thing up there.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
And I think what Dabs is hinting at there is like how humble a bloke you was as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what it comes down to. Like, that's why kind of like Dabs, myself and Dave, we kind of like struggle with the podcast and stuff like that, because we don't want it to be perceived as about us. We're trying to do this for McCoy and his boys, and it's, if we can get on podcasts like this and raise as much funds for his two sons as possible, that's what it's about.
That is exactly what it's about. And from what I've seen so far, that has been portrayed in the correct way. The way you guys are going about it. It isn't that you're putting yourself through this, not for yourselves. This is in memory to celebrate and to have something good come back at this time of year, at a challenging time for his
100%.
boys. And what, Brody going to study for medicine, and this is what the money would be going towards. Is that correct? So for the listeners that are listening right now, it'd be nice to share with them a little bit about his sons and kind of what that would go towards.
Well, so when McCoy initially died, two of his closest mates from the Navy organized a similar crowdfunding or a GoFundMe or a Just Giving, whatever it's called, with just like whoever knew him, just please, could you donate something? Because his goal was to be able to support his two sons through university, and he had a self kind of designated target of 40,000, split between the two of them. And they managed to achieve that. And, there was loads of people did loads of cool stuff, like, random gyms like CrossFit Lashley made this T-shirt that they without anybody ever knowing about it, they just super cool stuff like that, and donated all the profit to the Just Giving page. And so we just thought that a year on, sure, they've got this, support so far, but why not bolster it a little bit more? Like maybe we could help towards accommodation for the time at university, or, textbooks or something like that,
Yeah, definitely.
And during the whole year, his eldest son, Brody, was trying to get into medicine. And speaking to, his mother, she confirmed, a couple of months ago that he got accepted at Brighton University, which is his first choice.
Fantastic.
So the first boy's there. The second boy isn't of age yet, but once he is, then that will be the
Yeah.
goal.
Yeah, incredible, guys. And for the listeners that are listening to this right now, that's the power of what a community can do to come together. And it's obviously a large part of CrossFit community as well that's coming together. But you've got other communities that are coming together that are supporting. It's so good to see people pull together and support his family. What really amazes me, Rob and Dav, is how some people look so unbreakable. They're the ones that kind of you lean on when things get hard. They're the mates that show up no matter what. And kind of what we see on the outside isn't always a full story, is it? And listeners that are listening right now, I'm not asking for any advice or anything like that, because there's nothing we can do or say sometimes. But we never know when the signs are there, when people are feeling really, really low. And from your point of view, going through the experience and sharing the time with him, can you reflect on it any times where you're like, maybe Rob, you phoned Dad and said, look, we kind of got to get in his ear a little bit here. We've got to show support, because that's what you did as friends, wasn't it? You supported each other.
Yeah, I mean, there's multiple times where he would contact Davs or myself or some of the other boys randomly, and then all of a sudden we would text each other. I mean, have you spoken to McCoy recently? Like,
Yeah.
he said this or he said that, and it's kind of like, and then we kind of rally, and like, we would be sending each other workouts or whatever and things, and Davs would pump him up every day and be like, right, I'm going to call you on a certain day every day and check in on you. And we did the same thing, and it's just it's blows my mind, kind of like, you're there for your mate, and then all of a sudden this happens, and all the
Yeah.
cliche stuff is like, oh, you need to speak, you need to talk. Well, he did reach out, he did do those things, and he was trying his best, and he got all the help he could. And unfortunately, this was the situation it ended up in, and it's just really sad in that respect. It's really sad, but
Yeah.
I try and take solace with the fact that McCoy did what he wanted to do, and now he's at peace. Like,
Yeah.
he hasn't got
Fairs.
that pain anymore, right? We
Yeah.
we share some of his pain now because he's not with us, obviously, and that's horrible and that hurts. But yeah, just be there for your mates, man. Just be there
Yeah.
for your mates.
Yeah,
It,
it is. I mean, it sounds that simple, but you know, you were there for your mates, and sometimes that pain just becomes too much between you. It just becomes too much for people sometimes. And I've had a couple of friends that have committed suicide, and you always end up asking yourself questions. You play things in your mind over and over again, and I feel as though it's a sense of turmoil that's left there sometimes. It's, you always wonder, but at the end of the day, you've been there as much as you can for someone, and that's all you can do. And I always think back to, for them to have actually followed through with it and to have had people around them, how much actual pain they must have been going through, because the friends I spoke to the day before, you're talking to them and they're in a happy, good place on holiday. And
yeah.
then the very next day, and you can't fathom it, and it's a really hard thing to explain to somebody, but you just cannot fathom it. For you guys going up and taking on this journey that we'll talk about in a minute, I'd love to break it down in a bit more detail, because I really want the listeners to understand how tough and crazy this challenge is that you're taking on. Um, During that journey, over the couple of days, however long it would take, are you hoping to find some sort of sense of, I don't want to use the word relief, but some sort of sense of peace in yourselves at all?
I mean, I think you could argue that you get a little bit of shared pain, I suppose. I don't really know. Like, we're not for 1 second laying comparison to what we are doing to the the horrendous pain that McCoy must have felt for a long
Of
time,
course not.
but I do think that there is going to be some way, like every step we take, we'll be able to just even grow a little closer to each other, so
Yeah.
celebrate him, but also in doing so, just thinking, looking after each other as well. Because, we're not, like Rob said, it was a very upsetting time for those left behind, what had happened to him. And it's just a way that we can kind of just almost celebrate his life, deal with it, or maybe even
Yeah.
just put it to one side for a second because we're focused on something else, like people deal with grief in different ways, don't they? And it's just maybe
Yeah.
the way we're dealing with it. I don't know.
I've said this to a couple of my close friends up here, and I think they've misinterpreted it, or maybe it just sounds worse than what I say, but I just want to hurt for my mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I
get it.
don't know what it is.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I
It's no
get it.
different
And
from any other hero workout, is it? Every other hero workout is done to demonstrate respect to those who've given the ultimate sacrifice for um for their service or whatever, however it was that they died, and it's just a similar thing. It's in a similar vein.
yeah, agreed. No, you hit the nail on the head there, big man. And I think grief is a powerful thing. Something I've learned in time is, for me, it's never ever got easier at all. But every day you just learn to deal with it a little bit better. The pain never goes away. You just find a different way of dealing with it every single day. And that's kind of how I've kind of dealt with it. What about, I'd love to hear, incredible guy. I hear incredible things. I'd love to hear a couple of incredible stories, Rob, from whenever you went out for a drink or if you've been out doing something. Share a story with me about something that you remember from a night out or from a good workout. Share something with the listeners. That'd be really cool to hear about something you went through together.
Well, Davs has got a good story from a seminar for sure. I think McCoy was just he was the soul of the party. Do you know what I mean? Like the boy could
Yeah.
move too, and he was a good looking chap. So it was always nice to have a beer with him for sure. And we roomed together quite often. But Davs
Right.
tells a great story from a seminar. I'm sure he'll jump in here and tell you his story now.
I'm also sure, Rob, as well, like on your journey over the weekend, I'm pretty sure I've pictured you guys walking together, rowers on your back, in the darkness, in the cold, with the wind. I'm picturing it. I'm also picturing how that is. Is it a conversation as you go up? Is it sharing stories? Is it quiet? Is it in silence? Are you listening to music? How do you picture that, Rob, as you go through the journey, or is it a bit of everything?
I think it's going to be all of the above at different stages.
Yeah.
I think it'll probably be a little bit excitable at the start as we get
Yeah.
off, and then there's going to be moments where like maybe I'm struggling hard and I'm go quiet and the boys pick me up, and then there may be a moment where the same happens to Dave or to Davs as well, and I'm sure we'll rally around each other. But yeah, I'm not too sure whose soundtrack we're going to listen to as we go up, but we'll see what happens. If I have my way, it'll be Bon Jovi or Stereophonics all the way up, I think.
All right to me. Sorry,
Dav,
I
can you
left
hear us
you
okay, mate?
hanging. I cliffhanged you there. Sorry, my signal just went completely.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think
That's okay.
I think like Rob.
We're waiting to hear this seminar story.
Okay, well, I'll try and do it now. Hopefully, it won't have the same effect. All right, so Rob, I'm presuming we're talking about this because there's so many. The sumo deadlift pull one, yeah. Is that what you said, Rob? The sumo deadlift.
Yeah, we'll
Rob,
go with that one. That was good for public consumption.
Well, I mean, kind of. So, but whenever this was, 2014, maybe something like that. 2015, maybe there was seminars where like fully packed, sold out, and you're talking 50 people on this seminar in Glasgow. And the way it works is that you get allocated new material as you come through the seniority, the rank. So he'd just been given his first deadlift lecture, And during the deadlift lecture, he had to lecture the swim deadlift high pull and all its faults and blah, blah, blah. And you get assigned a demo. Rob was his demo during this whole piece. And so, because the room was so full, they had a 20-inch box and nothing else at the front of the room. And so Rob is stood up on top of a 12-inch box, demoing all these movements. And it comes to the fault of an early arm pull. So Rob is showing, like, as he extends, his arms bend early, blah, blah. And McCoy's got this lined up, he's been practicing for ages. He's an absolute stud, by the way. So it looks like he's done this a million times. Not that it's his first ever exposure, and he's just like super nervous about it. So he says he's got this brilliant cue to stop an early arm pull. It's a tactile cue. It's to put a hand over somebody's shoulder, and as they stand up, the shoulder must hit the hand before they pull. So they get that feedback of fully extending a hip before they pull. So McCoy's decided to do not just one hand, but two hands, and on the same box that Rob is on. So he jumps up, and if you ever stand on top of a 20-inch box with two of you on there, there's not much room for anything, right? So the human centipede has been created, like fucking they're inserted into each other, and he's got his hands on top, and he says, "Okay, just setting up the position." Rob set up, and Rob's like, "You sure?" And McCoy's like, "Yeah, go on," like whispering to each other. We know at the back what's about to happen, all the other shit. So Rob just leans over like in a bottom of a deadlift setup with his ass just in McCoy's crotch, and he's just stood there with both his hands out like this, and there's 50 people just watching him. A complete silence, and this guy in the middle of the group who was a Royal Marine just shouted out, "Oh, hello, sailor!" And the entire crowd just erupted in laughter. Like the whole, I don't know, he must have just wanted the whole world to swallow him up. He couldn't do anything. He couldn't continue the lecture. Like, you imagine, the sound was ridiculous. Like 50 people just laughing.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a few instances on seminars where funny things happen, and like that one is definitely one that sticks out. Like, especially when he says, and like I knew what was happening too. And like he said, "Go on then, set up." And I was like, "Are you sure, bro?" And he's like, yeah. I was like, "Oh, here we go." And then it was like that. As soon as that chap said, "Hello, sailor," it was game over. It was game over. I turned the same color as that cup.
But know what though? These are great memories, great experiences, and I'm sure you're going to be sharing a lot of these as you take on your journey, Rob.
And all the ones that we can't tell you on podcasts either.
Yeah, fair one. I'm sure you can share those ones on the way up to the mountains, right?
Yeah. Like we traveled to Bali for our honeymoon, and we had a great time with him and his partner back then, and spinning around. Like I just remember holding on to the back of McCoy on a motorbike, and he's driving a motorbike around the streets of Bali. And obviously he knew it like the back of his hand. But for me, with the traffic and the small roads, it was bonkers. And he's just like, "No problem, ring, 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 ring." And I'm like, I'm just holding on to it was like Dumb and Dumber. I'm just like my arms and legs around McCoy, and his afro's going everywhere. It was like, yeah, brilliant.
Good times. Well, guys, I would really want to share the actual challenge that you'll be completing this weekend with the listeners. So we understand the meaning behind the challenge. We really understand why we're looking to get exposure on this and kind of build this up. And we want to celebrate this incredible man. But the challenge itself, 3 peaks. Do you want to share with us, Rob, the challenge itself?
Yeah, so traditionally the challenge, the 3 Peaks Challenge, is the highest peak in Scotland, highest peak in England, and the highest peak in Wales. You've got Ben Nevis, Scafell Pike, and Snowdon. And the classic challenge is to go up and down all 3 in 24 hours. But obviously that's not with a rower on your back. So we are going to start at Ben Nevis in Scotland. We're going to travel up there. Dabs is on the way now. I get there tomorrow afternoon. We'll bed down there tomorrow night, and then just before sunrise on Friday, we'll start the climb to Ben Nevis. From there, we're going to go up. The weather doesn't look too good, and there's pretty heavy snow there. There's snow from 700 meters up. So we've had to buy crampons and poles and stuff and get different weather gear in as well. So we'll go up, and we'll go as far as we can. If we can summit we absolutely will, and we'll do everything we can to make that happen. But more than likely, we'll probably come back down below the snow line and row 10K, and then
Yeah.
pack everything back up, hike back down to the cars and base camp, as it were, eat, get in our vehicles, and luckily we've got drivers who are then going to take us to the next peak, Scafell Pike, and we'll do the same thing there. We'll try and sleep on the journey, so as soon as we get boots on the ground, we'll reassemble the packs, hike up Scafell Pike, which will be quite challenging because I've never done it, but apparently it's a bit of a scramble towards the top. So we'll do that one. I've been told we're not going to be able to row at the top of that one either because of the way the mountain is at the peak. So we have to come back down, find a flat spot, row 10K, come back down, eat again, get in the vehicles, travel across to Wales, to Snowdon, and do exactly the same thing there. So hike all the way up. We should be able to row at the top of Snowdon, row a 10K, and then come back down. So we're carrying a rower each, and we'll all row 10K each on each one as well.
Mate, that is that is insane. I honestly, I want to share my honest thoughts with it, buddy. That is incredible. Ben Nevis, 1,345 meters. Scafell Pike, 978. Snowdon, over 1,000. It's 23 miles of hiking up and down. And can I ask how much?
Neither do I.
No, yeah, I didn't. To be honest with you, I didn't
Just
want to
drop
know
that in there, big man.
Yes. Good one.
So 23 miles of hiking up and down. How much does a rowing machine weigh?
The Rogue Echo Rower is about 34 kilos, something like that. So
is it that much? Is it? Wow.
Yeah, it's 34 kilos. But the good thing about it, obviously, is because it's foldable. It's one piece. It's going to be rigid, so we can strap it down to our. We've got Alice packs, like a frame with back straps and hip straps on. So we've found a way of how to dismantle them a little bit and make them really compact to put them on the packs.
Yeah.
So I mean, we'll have to hike up. We'll have to assemble a few bits. I think it's like 8 screws we've got to do, and then come back down
with frozen fingers.
Yeah.
It is insane. So I've completed the 3 peaks and I've taken on the 24-hour challenge, which is why I really wanted to also jump on the call to kind of share my absolute respect for you for taking up a rower.
You should be giving us some help. You should get some tips right now.
I will happily share some tips. I'll try to. So I take my rower out in my camper van in the New Forest, and I take it up hills and really small not mountains, just big hills. And I find that really awkward to carry. So me and a friend sometimes carry it up. But the thought of taking the Rogue rower up and down those 3 mountains, mate, honestly, and for the listeners, it is unbelievable. Can I ask about what practice you've put in, not just to carrying the rower, and you guys are fit, strong guys, but the terrain, because the wind, the snow and the ice, like obviously we're taking that into consideration. And when you're carrying something big on your back, what kind of training have you done for it, basically?
Davs, do you want to shoot what you and Dave have done?
Well, we haven't really carried anything like that specifically, but just a load. So
it gets worse, Rob. It gets worse.
It's worse. We I mean, I don't know, like we were talking about this and, whether we did it in 12 months time and all this stuff. I just thought, like, do you know what? Like, by the time you be thinking about it for 12 months and probably get injured in training, doing it, whatever else, it's just, let's just get it out of the way and do it, like it's not going to be pleasant. It's not going to be anything that any of us are going to
that's the point, isn't it? That's why you're doing it for.
Yeah, 100%. Like we've carried the same load, not the awkwardness of it, just like a plate strapped to your back for longer and further than any of the individuals climbs. And it's a very slow plod, and it's just horrible. Every kind of step is a bit tricky. But I've carried a rower up the same mountain that McCoy did in Bali, in Mount Batur, and that was it's just awkward because you know, like you put one foot wrong and it's just a very top heavy thing to try and control.
Yeah.
But we do have poles, not that they're like, you know, they're not going to be designed to like dig and, you know, into the ground to press your weight onto, but just to really balance yourself a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because if it does go sideways, it's very hard to stop yourself from falling. Um, and it's, you know, falling with a pack on your back is a bit different from falling with a rower on your back. You know, you can't just
Oh,
try and launch yourself into the softest place you find. You're just going to get something hit the back of your head. So it's
yeah.
it's a difficult task with regards to, you know, how the you know the strain on the body, but it's also you have to place your feet. Yeah, every footstep you have to be careful of, I'd say. So it's going to be
Yeah, you
our
do.
brains
You
are going to be
really,
screwed as well.
really do. That's just it. It isn't even, I mean, of course it's the physical side of it, but it's making sure that every step is safe up there. And that's something that
Yeah,
I found definitely with the different type of terrains going up Bed Nevis and how it changed so much. And for me, it was my ankles and the rocks, and trying to place your feet in the dark. You've got a little headlight on, but you still can't see everything. And you catch your foot on a rock, and you can do your ankle. It's just making sure that it's nice and safe. The biggest thing for me was I like taking large steps, but it's the worst thing you can do. It is literally the smaller steps you
yeah,
can take, the better. That is definitely a
yeah,
massive, massive win. I thought I'd power up there, quite fit in that, but literally struggled so much. It was so challenging. The first 20 minutes, my calves blew up. I was like, brilliant, that's a good start on bed next.
yeah,
I said to a friend of mine, I said, like, how much we done? He said, we're not even at the base yet, mate. I was like, oh, great. And my
yeah,
calves just started locked like bricks. But it is it is an incredible journey, and carrying a rower on your back again. It for me, it would definitely be the balance thing when you're walking, because if you go, there's only one way down, and that's a long way, and it'd be hard to stop, right, Rob? So just go careful, guys. Your safety, I will say that, is number one and paramount. But with the wind and the weather, that's obviously going to make it even more challenging for you guys. Can I ask? I would love to, if I could visualize the discussion as to how this started when you spoke about the challenge. Did it start off with, let's do the 3 peaks in 24 hours? Oh, let's add one rower. Oh, let's add two. Fuck it. Let's add three rowers, one each, and do 10K at the top. How did that develop, Rob?
Like, I think we were on a group chat and we were just chucking stuff into the group chat. We should try this, we should do that kind of thing. And then 3 peaks was chucked in there. I think did Dave chuck in 3 peaks, Davs? I think it was Dave. And then it was
yeah. I
like,
mean,
well, we should do what McCoy
we
did.
we basically started with Snowden, or it was Snowden, saying, "What do we do, Snowden, with a rower?" And Dave basically said, "Fuck it, why don't you do the 3 peaks?" And we're like, "All right, go." That was it. That was it. It was over. That was it, done. Like,
And there was no real question or debate of whether it was like one row between 3. It was one each, and that was a
Ah,
given
okay.
from the start.
That was
It was
it.
like,
Standard.
yeah, it's what McCoy did, right? So hell yeah.
yeah,
Love it. Love it. And so, talking about the 3 different peaks that you're going to climb, Ben Nevis is very zigzaggy going up. It's not too bad. I think I probably enjoyed that one the most. It was the first one, so excited, fresh.
Yeah.
Scaffold Pike is the beginning is lots of steps, so that's going to be a nice start. That's going to be steady Eddie, and then it is very, very slate heavy and very slippery, towards the
yeah,
top end. So that is definitely, again, I fell over quite a few times, and when you fall, you do go down quite a bit. So it was like 3 steps forward, 15 steps backwards, and I didn't
I'm
have a
not
row on the
gonna
back.
I'm not gonna
30
give
with a
this
rower in your back.
I'm not gonna give this to my family. They're not gonna watch this.
No, don't
No,
don't don't let them watch it. But it it will also be a busy weekend, guys. It's Easter weekend, so I'm
It's Easter
guessing it's
weekend, yeah.
busy. That's going to
Yeah.
play a part in it. Even just little things like going up and getting a parking space, getting food, or yeah, I think those things, again, lining up to get to the top or anything like that. I'm guessing you guys are just going to get as far as you can that's safe, and then do the row that is somewhere that is safe and do
Yeah.
it together. The plan is to all row at the same time, right? All row together, complete the 10K together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
No, nice. Is there, will there be, I'm sure there won't, but I want to ask the question because I know what I'm like. If I was with two buddies walking up and we got the rowers out, would there be a little look of, right, how fast we go, boys?
We've had it's gonna happen, but we've had a gentleman's agreement. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's going to happen.
maybe there
The
should be
last
a forfeit for whoever
150
rows the
meters.
fastest 10K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last
Yeah, you should.
last
Yeah,
250,
do
all
the
bets are
final
off.
500 is the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
No, it is incredible. So, you got the three rowers lined up next to each other. If you can do it up towards near a peak, brilliant. Just find some obviously nice and flat. When my thought process was, and I honestly like putting them together and taking them apart, your hands will be very, very cold. I mean,
Yeah.
is that you guys are, Welsh and you're all fine, right? So I'm sure you're not too bothered with that. But I know for me that would be an issue. I've got some really, really bad joints in my hands, but you guys are all cool. That's all nice and safe and good.
Yeah, we'll just make it happen. I think I might take a little hand tool, a little powered hand tool up, see if that helps us out a little bit. But I mean, it's going to be 8 screws per rower. We're going to be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay.
And we've got
Yeah.
spares in case we lose any nuts and bolts, so we'll be fine.
Yeah.
Rogue
I
have
think
hooked
maybe
us up with some spares, so we're good to go.
just put 2 each in, like Dave said, and that'll be it. Just cut it down by 50%. It's only a 10K row. It'll be all
Enough.
right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not like you're going mad, is it? You're there, you're going to get the road done. You know what? When I think of you guys completing this journey and obviously the whole reasoning behind it, just from an outsider looking in, I might be totally wrong, but I actually think sat on that rowing machine looking out is going to be the most emotional time. And the really powerful reflection time of your journey, as opposed to the physical side where you are grinding up those mountains, taking your mind off of all the pain. But I do feel as though the challenge, it's a very physical versus very emotional challenge, and the rowing will be the emotional side of it. And I feel as though that physical battle of getting up those mountains is going to be absolutely insane. What are your thoughts on that, Rob, between the physical and emotional challenge of the battle you're going to face this weekend?
It's gonna happen. Like Davs knows me and my family very well. We're pretty emotional. There's Davs is the same, and Dave too. There's gonna be times when we're upset. I'm sure of it, but that's also a good thing. So we'll just,
Of course it is.
we'll get it out. We'll do what we gotta do. We'll be there for each other, and that's it. No stress.
I think we got to
No
sit with
stress.
those
Good man.
emotions,
Good man.
like just let your body deal with it. You know what I mean? However it needs to be, just sit there and deal with it. Think about, the person that he was and the people that we are, and that's it. Just let it ride over you. It's happened so many
Yeah,
times. Like,
for sure.
it's so random, like you said about this earlier on, whereby it never gets easier. In fact, I think it actually gets worse. I've experienced quite a lot of loss in my life, and every time it just gets harder and harder, like it really does. And so, throughout this last year, I know Rob's been the same. Is we've just had random times where it's just grief's just hit you for no reason. It's just weird. And this is going to be one of those times where it's not a surprise. It's going to happen to us at some point. I think the end, when it's all
Yeah.
over, I think that'll be the worst.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be some journey, guys, and obviously there's going to be ups and downs to that journey. But from what you're putting yourself through, obviously, like you said at the start, Rob, it's going to be absolutely nothing compared
No,
to what Big Man went through, and that's always what's going to push you on. So, we know you're going to win that battle every single time. And it, I just look at towards the end of that journey, and how that feels when I finished the 24 hours. I think it was just under like 4 minutes, just made it
fair play to you.
to run the last part. And there is this huge sense of relief. And I was
Relief.
also doing it for the Elliot Project, which is a foundation dedicated to suicide and
Definitely.
raising awareness. And we had a lot of people on our mind during that journey.
Yeah.
It was incredible to raise money for mental health first aid trained people. Um, from your point of view, again, the listeners, where can they go? How can they donate? What can they do to support this project?
So like we've got a page set up for donations for McCoy's Boys.
Yeah,
So the link is in my bio. I believe it's on Dave's and Dav's bios on Instagram as well.
I'll
Uh,
share it on here as well. I'll share it
that
on
would
this
be
post. I'll share it on the channel. Yeah.
that would be fantastic. But yeah, anybody that knew McCoy, just like spare him a thought this weekend and give a donation to his two lads, and it'll go a long way for sure. And the money will be used by the boys wisely. It'll be good to go. We're looking after them.
Yeah, yeah, and that just goes to show to the listeners, everyone involved in this journey, that actually what you're doing is for the long term, isn't it? This is
And
about supporting the two kids, Brody and Tommy, for that long term action, and actually you're supporting McCoy's legacy and the fact that we can do this for his boys, right?
yeah, exactly that. And I mean, you know, his two boys, they're teenagers now, and obviously Bear's on the way to uni and stuff. So it's like they're old enough to understand how his dad was loved and respected by everyone, and it's hard for those lads too, right? So we just want to be there for them and support them the best we can as well. If they have dreams of going to university, like like McCoy had those aspirations for those boys, then we're going to try and facilitate that the best we can, you know. And this is one way
Yeah.
we can do that.
You certainly can, and you certainly are, mate. And what you are doing to do that is an almighty challenge, and I'm going to be following it all weekend. Is there any way people can watch, listen, or see how you're getting on over the weekend?
Yeah, I think all three of us will probably jump on Instagram at some point over the weekend whenever we
Great.
have signal and stuff. We might go live once or twice. We'll see what happens. I think yeah, just keep in touch via our social media, and we'll post as we go.
Yeah, I really appreciate how you've handled all this, and you've been so honest about everything, mate, and upfront. And anyone that is listening, if at any point you need to talk to anyone, people are out there to talk to, and it just goes to show the power of one voice or a group of three people that can make a big difference, and spreading the word, and just letting people know that it's all right not to feel all right, if that makes sense, because
Yeah, one
you know,
hundred percent. And I think a lot is said about, like, you know, reach out to your mates, speak to your mates, etc., etc. But speaking from past experience myself, some people don't want to reach out to their mates because they feel there may be judgment or something like that because
yeah,
somebody knows them. Reach out
yeah.
to somebody who doesn't know you. There won't be judgment. There's people out there who specialize in this stuff to help, and just make a connection with anyone because you'll feel better for it afterwards for sure.
Yeah, totally agree, mate. And we really appreciate you coming on in here, sharing, your journey you're about to embark on, the reasons why behind it, and that's the real important part, is the why. And thanks for being honest with that. And we hope you, I don't want to say enjoy the journey, but I hope you take out of it what you want to get out of it as well, because I think it's important at some point. There's a bit of us that's a little bit selfish and goes, I'm going to go up there and I'm doing this for my mate and I'm going to get something out of it. And I
Mhm.
hope you do take away something from it, Rob, yourself, buddy. I really do.
I
And your
appreciate
two
it. Thank you.
pals.
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will.
And
And I'm
yeah,
sure we'll be
I'm sure
excited
you
for
will.
it as well.
Yeah, no, cool, cool. And listeners, if anyone out there is struggling and wants to talk, DM someone. If you don't want to have a conversation, send a message. My DMs are always open. I'm sure you can DM Rob,
Hey, by all
speak to
means,
someone you
please
don't know. Yeah, it's,
reach
it's,
out.
it's it's a really good point. So just make sure you share information. And yeah, it's been a really powerful and insightful conversation today. And Rob, I wish you all the best the weekend, my friend. I'm sure it's going to be very challenging. And love to all of you guys out there who are going to support you. 'Cause, you've got a few of you guys, a big team that's going to be helping you a little bit getting up and down. You've got
Yeah,
people
I
that
think.
hopefully will meet you at the
Can I
top.
just say thank you to a few people?
Yeah, love you too, mate. Of course.
So, like, obviously, Dav's his partner, Carrie's coming up. She's going to be driving him around. Dave's partner's coming up. Dave's wife's coming up, rather. She's going to be helping drive Dave around. We've got a guy from the gym here, one of our coaches' dads, who's very kindly offered to come and cook for us as well and drive my vehicle around.
Brilliant.
We've got a couple of guys filming as well. Slots Media is going to make a little mini documentary on it. We've got a photographer from here in Aberdeen who's going to come and help us as well. And then obviously the guys like Rogue have really helped us with the rowers. They've sponsored that for us. This company, Yachtna, have sponsored us our mountain gear. The Edgar brothers have helped us out with the Alice packs. Innovate have helped us with our shoes. So the support has been like unfathomable already. So if we can just now get that support and push it towards McCoy's boys and McCoy's cause, then it'll be a job well done. So thank you to everyone who's helped so far.
No worries. And thank you, Rob, for sharing your journey today. And I look forward to catching up with you possibly after the event,
100%.
recover for a little while afterwards. But this is about that momentum, though. This weekend will give you momentum going forward from this as well, and there'll be more to come from this. It isn't a case of this weekend and it's the end of it. It's about that continuation, right? It's that snowball of that compound effect.
100%. And there's a few events and a few things that are going to happen after this weekend as well to keep the ball rolling, as you said. And hopefully we'll keep the charity page open as well for the lads. So as those events happen, more funds can go towards the boys as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, guys, if you listen to this, please support this unbelievable event. Donate, click the link below if you can. It'll also be in the comment section. And let's celebrate this absolute beast of a man that everyone looked up to.
Sorry? A behemoth of a man.
Behemoth of a man. And let's keep celebrating that journey. And guys, good luck for the weekend. And appreciate your time today, Rob. Yeah, no worries. Appreciate it today. And listeners, good luck. Have a great week. And we'll catch you all soon. Thank you very much, Rob.